Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. Have some exciting stuff for you this morning. Obviously, this weekend kind of shook the country a little bit. It turns out, obviously, that the results weren't there, but of course, just having the event of attempted assassination on not only a former president, but a primary candidate for the upcoming election, if only a few months away. Is a huge deal. So no matter where you fall politically, we do want to talk about how that affects the markets on what happened, not what could have happened, because that's a tough scenario with what could have happened there. But I'll talk about that first, and I'll hand it over to Mike. Mike's going to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's on fire today, coming out of what is wildly being called the crypto winter that has affected the whole space, including Bitcoin. So I'll say, from my side, thanks for your patience. The phone has not been ringing off the hook, but Bitcoin's been marching in the wrong direction for a while. It's up almost 10% today. So Mike will cover that. And then Mike will conclude with a Wall Street Journal article today, which is pretty interesting when you think about the healthcare space, which obviously Mike has a background there, and we're always looking for different ways to invest in the healthcare space. But, sleep apnea has been in the news for the past few years, and, a lot of folks have that, and, insurance is starting to cover that. And then, of course, the whole Ozempic / weight loss / whole, set of drugs there, and how much, if any, insurance is going to cover them. So Mike's going to kind of talk about what the Wall Street Journal is saying could happen for that, and how that affects some investing stuff. Before we get started, though, it's a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence for acting upon anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Mike's alone. All right. Politics aside, we did have a presidential attempted assassination, assuming that was real and not part of the million conspiracy theories that went on this weekend about whether that was intentionally staged by the Republicans or whatever anybody thinks. But anyhow, Saturday afternoon / early evening, depending on where you are, the news came out. And then, of course, the shooter was neutralized fairly quickly, at least after he shot. I think there's going to be a lot of less, I'm former military, Mike's former military. So, snipers don't miss that often. So thank God, at least he missed his target. Unfortunately, there was a couple of casualties, one fatality in the background, because bullets do go somewhere even when they miss their intended target. But lots of learning, I think, on the Secret Service side from the event. But, politics aside, let's talk to how this affects markets. You do have to think Trump's reaction to the event was pretty unique. I was telling the folks in the office this morning, I have been shot before. I was 14 and I was riding a moped and got shot with a BB gun, and I cried like unbelievably. And I can't even remember if it broke the skin or not. But to have somebody I've been shot at in combat but never hit. But yeah, to have somebody actually get hit, and then as he's being whisked away by Secret Service, as should happen, he pauses them and looks like a bull as he rises up and puts his fist in the air and starts yelling fight and all that stuff. So I mean, yeah, it came out looking pretty good, I think. And of course, really the politics of it, I think it certainly does increase the odds of his election probably significantly from that whole event. We'll see. Time will tell. But certainly the reflection in the market today is pretty green across the board. Let me get the regular screen I intended here. So here you have your Dow, your S&P, your NASDAQ, and small caps all across the board. Everything's in the green. So why would the markets, celebrate this, if you will? Well, traditionally, markets like two things. They like certainty. So this kind of removes some of the uncertainty of the election. Regardless of where you fall, it doesn't look like things have been trending well for the Democrats from the debate, and that it appears that this event would strengthen the Republican ticket. And of course, you have Trump announcing the banner just went down, but he's supposed to announce his VP candidate within hours. So there will be some hoopla with that. And, of course, the pundits will say how awesome it is or how terrible it is, depending on where you sit on the fence. But anyhow, another known, right, coming into the picture. So the markets may be getting ahead of themselves, I don't know, but certainly kind of pricing in a Republican victory. So they like certainty. That gives you the green, and Mike's celebrating that with his green T-shirt on today. So I'm proud of him for wearing that. I asked I won't even ask what that says, but
Lucky.
Lucky. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. The but I'm repping with Bitcoin, which Mike's going to talk about later. But yeah, so you've got the certainty piece. Then you also have the if Trump is reelected, you tend to have the Republican smaller government, supposed to be smaller government, or more tax favor. Things like the Tax Cut and Jobs Act is set to expire at the end of 2025, which seemed like a long time when it was put into place. It's not. That's 18 months from now. So if that gets extended, of course, that's favorable for business and things. So a lot of things to celebrate in the market side of that. So that's why you're seeing the reaction today. But obviously, the lessons learned from this, we can't really have these things happen. So we'll see how going forward security is for these events, whether they start to move inside where security is a little easier to control, if you will, because you don't have to control out to infinity. But I don't know. We'll see from there. But overall, we're seeing green in the market today. When you look at the accounts, this is the top holdings in the book, and if you can see all the way to the right, there's a few in red, but for the most part, they're moving higher, including Bitcoin up 9.42%. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Mike to hear his thoughts on what's going on in the crypto space.
Yeah. And hey, before I do that, on the
Sure.
green across the board, I think it's important to point out that the Russell 2000 is up 1.6% compared to the S&P 0.8%. And what that shows is a continuing broadening out. So rather than just a few huge companies leading forward, we're starting to see, I don't know if it's a full sector rotation, but we're seeing the overall market move up rather than just a few companies. To me, that is extremely positive. So something that we're looking at. And on the real positive note, I'm going to bring up the BITB, which is our holding, how we access Bitcoin. And you can see this is a 3-month chart, which looks, kind of flat on the optimistic side, but if you look really in the last, let's just look at the 1-month chart, that I'm glad to see this spike back up to where it was, at least at the beginning of the month. So I don't know, a crypto winter, that implies like a long time. It really hasn't been that long. And still, even since the beginning of the year, it's done fantastic. But it just seems like the last 3 months, 5 months, right in that range, it's been, it's down, it's up, it's down and up, but it's up. And that, part of that is caused, we saw significant inflows into the different Bitcoin ETFs over the weekend. Also, we know that, at least I've heard in seminars and read, the Republicans tend to be more pro-crypto, with Democrats starting to come on board, I believe. So, the situation with Trump's chances going up is certainly seen as a positive for the crypto industry. So all those things coming into effect to shoot this thing up, 9.5%. So that's great news, obviously, for the books. And I haven't had any calls either. People truly do believe this will be going. So the other topic, and not as much fun, because, weight loss, sleep apnea, these are the things that we have to do. It's just too easy to put on weight, and I know a lot of people deal with sleep apnea, but we're always looking for that magic pill, right? The magic pill. Eli Lilly, Novo, they think they've got it. So, and I hope that's true. But one of the things that comes into that is, if you're an owner of Eli Lilly, let's just say, is somebody's got to pay for those drugs. They're not giving them out for free. They are very inexpensive to produce, but all the R&D, years of time, and then there's a limited time the patent's actually good, they're expensive. So who's going to pay for them? Insurance companies, and hence I've worked for insurance companies. We are not invested in insurance companies because these things are expensive, and they are starting to cover more and more. So someone's going to bite the bullet down the line. It won't be Eli Lilly. But so doctors, when they prescribe one of these pills, it has to be a medical reason. It can't just be like, hey, I want to shed 20 pounds so I look better in my bathing suit. That's not an insurance approved reason. But sleep apnea may be one of the links. Obviously, things like diabetes is much more important, even more key for that. But sleep apnea, if they're diagnosed with sleep apnea and the doctor says, you need to deal with this, we're going to use this pill, and there's a medical reason, it can be approved. So this is good news for Eli Lilly and some of the other GLP-1 companies. You can see right here, many people here, I'll highlight it. Many people can't get their medicines because their health plans don't cover them, and the drugs would cost upward of $1,300 a month. That's a lot of money. It's like $40 a day. So anyways, just more positive use for these drugs. Of course, and I'm not a doctor, but it is important to exercise and eat healthy and get a good night's sleep. And Steve, I don't know if you've ever done this. I don't think we're supposed to be looking at our phones when we go to bed. We shouldn't be checking the price of Bitcoin. So, or waking up to check the price of Bitcoin. But, so hopefully we don't get prescribed these drugs. But anyways, it's kind of good news that they're finding some other uses for it. So with that, I'll turn back to you.
Yes, I think Mike is doing a small reference to my 4 a.m. Note to the company on Slack this morning about the price of Bitcoin being up 10%. I did, I don't set an alarm for this, but when there's a big event where I think it's going to move the markets, obviously, like Saturday, I was kind of anxious only in a market making money way to see it. And I woke up right about the time that the futures kicked in and saw that and was like, oh, okay. Then you're right. I have not been back to bed since. So early morning for me. But you're right. Yeah, phones are the killer as far as managing your sleep patterns for sure. So with that, hopefully you got some good information today. Everybody stay safe out there, and we will see you guys back tomorrow. Have a good one.